This is the intro to the philosophical report of a reascended spirit. Peace and love to the ancestors and the Elohims. May all of civilization one day live in freedom, justice, and truth for evolution. Evolution on a celestial level, so that we can advance this species unto heights unfathomable to those that live today. The report begins. 6:52 p.m. Saturday, January 26, 2020, 2012 on the Ethiopian calendar. Day 2 of the new moon, 2.6% in Aquarius. This is the philosophical report of a reascended spirit. All that exists, operate outwardly, has pre-existence, coding, actuality inwardly. We as creation came, therefore must value the land given, not created. Patience is key to resolving lost ideologies and spiritual, heightened mental, physical, human functionalities. When we aren't constricting ourselves to progression, our minds dilate onto deeper fields of knowledge and experiences. The shadowy depths we travel when our lids are closed is essentially converting your consciousness via mental transitioning, meditatively traversing the multitude of dimensions within. Thought projection is the conscious act in which we travel higher thought patterns, frequencies, and synchronicities. For example, we daydream and come up with the most amazing, elaborative forms of expression. Artists, practitioners of all kinds, dancers, writers, musicians, painters, just to name a few, have sessions in which freestyling extensively and effectively become nature. It seems as though when we detach from progression and do thy will with 100% conscious intent, the results are satisfying and everlasting. November 8, 2018, day 2 of the new moon, Scorpio, 3%. We are multi-layered solar beings manifested through the conjuring, almighty power of the cosmos, masculine and feminine, the Alpha and Omega. Summoned onto flesh, we are greatly influenced by our galactical council and astrological position. These influential energies are of us just as we are of the entire cosmos. Only ye that seek with yearning passion can attract the fires above water. Our emotions are untamed floods, consciously destroying instead of being mastered, maintained, and plentiful. Fire is the element in which transformation, enlightenment takes place. The eternal flame within us all, pure conscious intent. Our current state of perception, conscious intent, is limited due to disconnect implemented by structural design. This matrix system we socially call life without proper inception creates a mind perfect for infiltration. Our continuous and blind acceptance to quote unquote life is the equivalent to falling for the falsehood of stage magic. We must trade our indoctrinations, material infatuations, and beloved illusions in order to maintain a mental metamorphosis. A perception above the mental mind and our emotional bodies are higher frequencies, realities, actualities within. Entirely, the study is to truly know thyself. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. I'ma take a second and let this ride out into the next instrumental. Know thyself, know thyself, enjoy. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. Genetics hold authority over the ego. During this bypass of life, traits should be of value and consciously refined, thus setting the next generation up for an absolute sentient experience. As individuals, nations, or tribes, as a species, we are to govern, conduct ourselves on neutral, non-emotional grounds of expressions, to intellectually, instinctively, and intuitively progress through this seemingly complicated labyrinth. When mastering thyself through making countless inaccurate decisions and encountering reruns of failure, adapt to your defeat and overcome your fears. Acceptance is key. When detaching from despair, give no energy of yours to misery of any kind, from any one situation or thing, for allowing this will result in mental entanglement, minor or even major. Mental entanglement creates unnecessary frustration, generally disrupting the equilibrium, conscious intent, or balance within. Such acts leads to one forging sporadic thoughts when trying to focus or operate, given high-level performances and engaging activities, be it mentally, physically, alone, or with others. Practice, question, and study. Frequently repeat your practices, create self-interrogations, and analyze your findings. Meaning, whenever training of all sorts, study your mistakes, question what went wrong, formulate the solution, and exercise your discovery habitually. Gradually, your proficiency sharpens and you begin to notice the effectiveness of practicing. Confident in yourself naturally, you present your methods to others with similar complications. What does it mean to truly know thyself? Section 1.1. Firstly, I would like to add that there are specific sections in human history heavily misconstrued. Few people are aware that modern educational systems are psychological institutions, prep camps, rather than establishments of true enlightenment towards the goddess God embodiment of self. The rate of young minds exceeding beyond logic, tangible information, experiences, materialistic value is quite rare. This notion existing within the minds of our future to this cabular is eerie and unwholesome. Naturally, through observational acts, wisdom is bestowed. With patience, this form of conceptualization broadens onto advanced mental, physical functions or acts. True knowledge and expressions is filtered from higher frequencies, secreted onto solidification through the primordial union of our biological system, masculine, feminine, electric, magnetic. This is where the advanced archaeological designs, perfectly aligned with Earth's or Gaia's grid, and the mapping of star systems with non-physical technologies come from. Where the hieroglyphic languages, mental conjuring, pictures, drawings of geometric designs with functional properties and natures come from. The so-called Akashic records isn't a place where all information remains dormant. It is a forgotten cognitive mind state in which we fell from, where the creation reigns supreme beside the creator, connected with full conscious clarity, physiologically. We've been operating on the basis of physical dependency, unbeknoweth, partially locked away in ourselves in the process. Modern day scientists and psychologists claim that we only operate about 10 to 15 of the human brain's ability to function. This 85% is us, just as the more familiar 15%. Instinctively, interfacing within this human form at one of its highest form is to be in sync with that in which we are both spiritually and genetically union. Such superior levels of biological dominance by Hollywood are deemed only possible for the non-human. Extraterrestrial beings, demonic entities, angels, mutants, elves, ancient alien influenced civilizations, etc., etc. This is false. This is deception by way of illusion. With their ability to control information through motion pictures, books, religion, we are backed into a corner of hypnosis, force-fed human inferiority, which also ignorantly, yet unintentionally, is passed down by the victims of indoctrinations through generations and revised or superimposed if need be by its progenitors, the capitalists, a cohesive organization of demons ruling amongst man. This form of trickery, even to historical events, pose a great danger and isn't safe for the conscious, collective evolution of man. These devils can play upon, reenact, slightly alter, or completely remove human connection throughout our ancient and recent esoteric timeline. When I say devil, I mean those that are devolved, those that are going against evolution. So-called angels are born of the vast, multidimensional, quantum entangled interstellar levels of the mental, ether, spiritual plane, also known as the duat. So-called demons, beasts, reside amongst flesh in the vastness of land, inner earth, in oceanic depths. There are both neutral and then there are both righteous, protective bodies of energy, whereas there are wicked, predatory, befouled entities of both realms, spiritual and physical. Such representations are shown in imagery teachings, alpha and omega, yin yang, subliminal duality, in, flow, etc., demonstrating the intricacy of mastery or union. While capitalism is at the top of this hierarchy, as they show, it is the lower dimension in which they keep the human mind oppressed and under the operational parameters of their control. In the Islamic belief, these entities were called jinn, Jewish called them Dibiks, Chinese spirituality referred to them as Mogwai, the Buddhist Mara, and Hindu Rashakas, also called Asura. Most of us are used to hearing demons, angels from the most cultural and popular teachings of Christianity. These creatures are no different in function than our lions, tigers, and bears. Fear of such beings is due to the lack of public institutions, built in the idea that freedom is gained through the enlightenment and liberation of the mind. Fear is therefore comprehensible, more than understandable, for we haven't been taught, nor are we in the day-to-day proximity of these fantastic creations of nature, physically speaking. We have the ability to change the course in which we are traversing in this chaotic sea of time, back onto the mythical direction of those enlightened far beyond any alive today. Belief is very powerful, and this is why the demons in control rely on you to seek truth in this given world, new world, the systematic prototype of lies and deception. These designs are inspired during congressional meetings where false ones come together and negate ancient prophecies into their own image. These demonic and cohesive organizations pray and rely on the information received through the extensive study of the human psyche. Divide and conquer has been a prominent tool for millennials but has power no more. Through studying the human anatomy, we learned that neurons inside the brain are responsible for everything we think, do, and feel. For the brain operates also on higher biochemical levels, microcosmically sending and receiving information, depicting scenarios and arriving at multiple compatible decisions faster than 100 of a millisecond, way before you, the cognitive representative, the repository of unorganized information and thought, could ever notice, due to the biological imprisonment we are living today. Just as the heart need not your consent to pulse, the lungs to sustain, and the P-now as the seat or throne of the soul. We are as equal as organisms inside of Gaia, a humanoid bodily cell reproduce with consistency, are essential components of nature's biological design, part of a more intricate and divine order, yet due to a foreign disease anomaly, are also failing to produce a radiance at the vibratory rate needed. We, just as every non-synthetic organism, depending on their function, are the blood or fuel that flows as energy through the cosmic vessels of this vast, multidimensional, quantum entangled, interstellar levels of mental, ether, spiritual, design, or bodily plane in which we exist. Just as the biological makeup of our bodies, cosmically as above and so below, we are one within the grand and spiritual divine body of the Most High. The life and death of every living soul is data to this living cancer amongst us, who wants to find his place and does not know where he belongs. We are emotionally moved through times of lust, greed, gluttony, wrath, anger, envy, sloth, and pride. But I am here to say that these aren't characteristics of the righteous ones, for we all are righteous. These emotions are used against against us, psychologically to create more matrix-like systems designed to keep you, us, unaware of the truth that you are righteous, without sin, deformatives, just as the organs in our very own body by birth, we are righteous. So instead of waiting on those who are not worthy, high-minded, noble, sinless, to reverse and present governing ideologies based on the righteous minds of our ancestors, we must rid ourselves of this plague, govern and honor the truth of our existence. To know thyself isn't just a spiritual journey, it is genetic as well. Thus, it is important that we know of our inherited past unconditionally to advance the technicality of spiritual evolution. We are our ancestors, and I do mean that quite literally. Anything that transpired through them and goes undone resides within us to deal with and sort. When man refuses this duty or genetic death, all kinds of mental mutations begin to unfold onto this plane we call home. Anxiety, schizophrenia, PTSD, and all the other psychoses, just to name a few, have the ability of becoming genetic traits without attentive healing before reproduction. Historically, we as African people living in under what we call today America have been through enough. Aboriginals all over Gaia have had their share of punishment. I call, summon, an affirmation of peace onto an intellectual reawakening of freedom. We, the alchemists, Africans, are to teach our children this science and hope that one day we'll reconnect with the grand and divine order within. We cannot go on as a nation without characterizing or categorizing our library. Once again, for every story, mind matters and must be simplified, made unto doctrines of health and appreciation. We must become extremists, strategically desperate, non-emotional, yet mindful of our judgment, and highly intellectual towards decisions as a nation. To know thyself, you must also know thy neighbor, enemy, friend, and family, to the furthest extent possible and or allowed. Observational foresight bear the critical necessities to consciously adjust to and overcome any rudimentary thought, measurement, design, or system prematurely set against you by any form of consciousness and or organization. We've been sized into the psychological conceptual confines of beasts, a lesser life form than a mere dog. There is no time better than now to show ourselves different. Our parents' story, up to when we are conceived, is our starting point in life. This is applied also with grandparents and beyond. We might not remember reliving each day of their lives while we are in the womb, all the way up into the point of immaculate conception, reproduction, but evidently the characteristics resurface. Through genetics is how the soul travels, multiplying with the eventuality of resurfacing onto this plane once more to live life or go beyond, but that's a topic for a later lecture. The point is, we, those of us that are here today, have to cleanse or bring this world out of darkness and deception once more for a smooth atmospheric re-entry.